everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lucy and in today's video I want to give you some Christmassy festive book recommendations if you're a little bit short on Christmas cheer this year. I must say, I'm not feeling the most Christmassy yet. It is my favourite time of year, apart from autumn, we all know that. But honestly, I feel like I need to read a load of Christmas books to just make me feel jolly and festive and cozy. And I think that's what's really great about this time of year, is reading a load of magical, comforting, Christmassy books that will just put you in the Christmas spirit. And I really hope this video makes you feel all sorts of festive. So without further ado, let's get on with the video because I want to show you guys the books that hopefully will just inject that bit of Christmas cheer into your lives. So the first book I really would like to recommend is a bit of a different one, and it's not a fiction book, it is non-fiction, so I wanted to get this out of the way first. But it is The Christmas Chronicles by Nigel Slater. Now this book is one of the most beautiful books I own, so let me just show you what the book looks like. So just absolutely stunning, and it is chock full of recipes, but what it is kind of like an almanac style like guide through wintertide and midwinter. So this book is not only recipes, because it is Nigel Slater, who is a renowned chef, but actually it's chock full of traditional things that you can do to just make yourself feel the most festive you can be. So it begins on the 1st of November, the start of the winter solstice, and it gives you a recipe for a hot apple drink for a cold night, and 3 dried fruit drinks for winter, and it gives you a daily kind of recipe and a daily activity, I guess, that you can do to just make yourself feel the most Christmassy ever. So I'm starting this quite late. I'm gonna kind of try and catch up and read this up until the end of November, and then when December hits, I'm really hoping to already feel very Christmassy because I'm gonna have like recipes I can try, I'm gonna be baking, I'll have all these kind of different activities that I can do, and it's all down to this book, guys. Like seriously, get this into your life, you will really, really appreciate it, and it's a good one to just like keep forever. Like hand this down, you know what I mean? Like it's perfect. So do get The Christmas Chronicles, I really would recommend it. Loads of lovely recipes, loads of cozy activities, but also the writing itself. Nigel Slater is a very excellent writer, so I think like you immediately feel very at home and very cozy when reading this book. So let's get on to the fiction now, because I have a few brilliant book recommendations that I think if you're just not feeling it, like it will really, really help, and these books will just make you feel so festive. So my first recommendation is the Winter Night series by Catherine Arden. So it starts with The Bear and the Nightingale, and then The Girl in the Tower, and then the third book, which I don't own yet, is The Winter of the Witch. So this book series is a magical folklore inspired fantasy series, all set in winter and the Christmas season. And this series is all inspired by Russian folklore. It is so beautifully done, it's so beautifully written. And upon reading these 2 books, I still need to read the final one in the series. Like, it is a feeling unlike any other. Like, it's so cozy, it's so magical. And the series follows a young girl called Vasya, who basically has different challenges in each book, but basically she is from the outskirts of Rus, or what Russia kind of used to be, I guess. And basically she's always lived in a time where folklore and kind of old magic have always existed. So there's always been these like house spirits that she's been used to, and she can see the house spirits and speak to them, and they kind of like are part of life, like daily life. And it's basically, I think the overarching theme of this series is how like modernism is trying to set in and destroy that old way of life. And there is definitely a wider plot at the heart of this to do with the Winter King and the kind of gods that are existing in this world. But basically this is the perfect series to read if you're looking for a dose of Christmas cheer, because I think there's something very dark, very magical and very wintry about this series that will just like transport you to cozy Christmas times. So I really would recommend actually reading this if you haven't already. I'm going to be buying The Winter of the Witch to read over Christmas. I have read each of these over the past few Christmases, and it's just been the most magical experience. So I really would recommend. Now, the next two books are kind of short stories, which I always love reading festive short stories around this time of year. The first one I think I've mentioned quite a few times on this channel already, but it's because I love it so much. It is Almost Midnight by Rainbow Rowell. And these are two festive short stories by Rainbow Rowell, and oh god, they are like the perfect short stories. So one of the short stories is called Midnights, and that is basically a romance about two best friends who have spent every single New Year's Eve together, and basically they fancy each other, and it's about basically a midnight where they kiss. The second one is Kindred Spirits. Now this one's my ultimate favourite. It is about a girl who camps out for every single Star Wars film, and she meets someone in the line, and they have this like magical line experience. It's basically like very fandom based, so I'd really recommend it if you are a Star Wars fan, or if you just want some like lovely, heartwarming, wholesome Christmas cheer. Like both of these short stories just feel super festive and super magical and romantic in a way that Rainbow Rowell really knows how to do. Now, in the same vein as that, I will definitely always be recommending My True Love Gave to Me, collected short stories edited by Stephanie Perkins. This has short stories from Holly Black, Matt De La Penna, Gail Foreman, Jenny Han, David Levithan, Kelly Link, Rainbow Rowell, Laini Taylor. The list goes on. But gorgeous package, but also each of these short stories are so good, and like just really perfect for this time of year. So each one is very different from each other. There are some more like fantasy Christmassy short stories where they're a bit more magical, they're a bit more kind of folklore-esque, and then there are some contemporary short stories as well. All of them are themed around Christmas. All of them are romances. So I always tend to read this around this time of year when I'm just feeling like I need a bit of Christmas joy and some swoon-worthy romance in my life. So I really would recommend this collection. The next book I really want to recommend, which I absolutely always have to watch the film of every Christmas, is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. So Little Women is of course a classic, and I basically read this for the first time a few Christmases ago and just fell in love with how festive it was. And of course there are parts of this book that aren't very festive, but there is a load of lovely Christmassy scenes and like very heartwarming, wholesome, lovely family-based scenes. So if you've not actually read the book of Little Women yet, I really would recommend it. And I think this has to be paired with watching the latest film version of Little Women as well, because all the feels, all the Christmassy, wintry feels, but Little Women is definitely one of my favourite classics, and I really would recommend it for this time of year. And finally, last but certainly not least, is one of my all-time fantasy romance favourites. This is Midnight in Everwood by M.A. Kuzniar, and a little disclaimer, because I did work on the publicity campaign for this book at HarperCollins. I work in publishing as a book publicist. Midnight in Everwood is a retelling of The Nutcracker, so of course the famous ballet and novel, and this retelling is basically a historical fiction novel as well. So it's set in 1906, I believe, in Nottingham, and follows a young lady called Marietta who all she wants to do is just be a ballet dancer. But because she is from an aristocratic family, she is destined to marry, and her family is really pushing for that. But when a mysterious dark man moves next door called Drosselheimer, he basically is very threatening, and he basically sends Marietta to this mystical world of Everwood. And in Everwood, it is like a Christmas paradise. Like, there are like beautiful forests and snow and the most Christmassy scenes imaginable. All the Christmas food you could ever want. Like, it is perfect. But there is a darkness to Everwood, and Marietta really has to battle this darkness in order to find her way home. There is also romance in this, which is perfect. So if you are looking for a dark, magical, Christmassy fairy tale, Midnight in Everwood is like the perfect book for this time of year. 100% would recommend. So guys, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed my recommendations, and I'll see you very soon with another video. Bye.